are on Royal Caribbean cruise ships, on the Quantum class in 270. This is the venue where we very seriously attempted to reinvent the theatrical space. For Roman times it was the amphitheatre, and then the Victorians with the proscenium arch, and now of course we've come up with this amazing venue where I don't know, was anyone at the book last night? Anyone see the book? So you see, with bringing people into this theatrical space through these torpedo tubes and through these hatches. There is no backstage because behind that wall is in fact the ocean, the outside world. So we have built a labyrinth of backstage spaces under the stage, right where I'm standing. So it's all very good. 2 more opportunities to see the book tonight, and I hope you do, because it really is something really rather special. Okay, so we talked about the robo screens. We'll talk more about those later on. Right there at the back is a huge wall of video. Now, we all go to the cinema and we're all used to seeing a big picture with a big projector, but in a room with architecture like this, it's really quite difficult to come up with a 135-foot wide video screen with an uninterrupted surface and no shadows. And we did it by not using 1 projector, not 4 projectors, not 8 projectors, not 16, but 18 projectors, and I'm going to show you where they are located right now. Kush, can you put them up, please? Please, there we are, very good. Okay, so there are 18 projectors, and you can see the position of them. Obviously, we need to get a nice, crisp, solid image, so we line them up using very clever software that looks at these vertical and horizontal lines, and that gives us a very precise image. So you can see one nice surface. And then, and this is actually 6 years ago, this is a very odd format. There is no existing content with this shape. So once we created this amazing screen, we then had to figure out how to create content for it, which meant every single pixel, and by the way, this is a 12K resolution. There are 12,000 pixels across that horizontal surface, and we had to create content for every single pixel. And so now, as it happens, the way you create content to get perspective right is you need a test card. And I'm sure you all remember test cards from the days of CRT televisions and computers. We needed one to get all of the different perspectives lined up. So let me show you the test card that we created. The wobbly bit was just because we like showing off. But there it is, there's a test card. Obviously we're not doing stuff in black and white, so we had to add color, a lot of it. So let's make it a color test card. 135 feet wide, 28 feet high, 12,000 pixels on the horizontal axis, literally 12K. And remember, 5 years ago. Okay, so we've got a good test card now. But obviously we use dimensionality now. We're all into the 3-dimensional video, so we had to give it some depth. So can we push some depth into it? That looks cool. And then we needed, because we're going to use motion, we're going to use action, as you'll see in a minute. So we needed to test this test card out with actual motion through 3D space. So let's have a look at that. There's more, believe it or not. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen, that is the test card we created. Thank you, you can give them a round of applause for coming up with it. We needed that to figure out how to create all the different sizes and shapes we needed to entertain in this space. So we make extensive use of this in the show, the book, which you will see tonight if you haven't seen it yet. But let me show you a piece that we came up with that was about 3 years ago. We wanted to really push the limits. And so we decided, what's a good subject to explore with this kind of technology? And we thought, what about the great maestro himself, Leonardo da Vinci? So we had this bright idea, first of all, of taking his animations from his sketchbook and animating them and trying to make them, give them some life. And then we thought, well, why don't we look at all these inventions and really add some meat to them? And you will see now, we really had fun sort of working with Da Vinci's creations, and then we decided to actually go one step further, and he actually created one of the earliest flying machines, not the helicopter, which we know about, and came up with something called the ornicopter, which was technically feasible. It was literally a flapping wing system. Never built it, certainly never flew it, until today. So you'll see the piece now. He invented the gearbox concept. Beautiful piece. We do some 3D video, and then by folding out 2 of the video screens, we actually create a 3-dimensional video surface combined with the 3D video. Very cool. And at the end, we put Leonardo in his flying machine, and we give him an opportunity to fly over Rome, ancient Rome. So have a look at this. This is called Leonardo da Vinci's Dreams. Here we go. Leonardo's Dreams. Did you enjoy that? So many forms of cinematography and content capture and presentation and graphics going on at once. Really quite a science experiment. And when we first came up with this idea, I remember we were talking about how to get to the level of passion we wanted, and I remember we chatted and we said, we're going to do something that if Leonardo could come and be with us at the bar, and we're having a drink with him, we'd chat about everything he came up with, chat about everything we're working on, and then say, have a look at this, Governor, we want to show you what we've done with one of your ideas. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Also, one of the great things about it is, you know, we put all these glasses on to give us a 3D effect, but in fact, if you have an enormous screen at the back, and another screen literally in front of it, you get wonderful three-dimensional effects. So practical always wins over. So there they are the oh, another little thing someone reminded me of recently. The Commonwealth Garden robot arm, which has 6 axes, is in fact modelled off the human anatomy, the human arm. And who was it that did the earliest studies on the human anatomy? It was Leonardo. So we've kind of come full circle. So, you know, these are the sort of things that really get us passionate at Royal Caribbean. Okay, now we're assembling what we call the super screen. So one of the things that these robots can do, rather majestically, is form themselves into a 16 by 9 high resolution screen. You can see they've slowed down, and that is because these last few centimeters that they're closing in on are very, very vernier scale. So, and these are very powerful robots. These are the same robots. Look, it's closing the gaps, and hopefully almost completely gone. So these are the same robots that build cars in Germany. They are able to pick up tons. So they can hurt each other. And sometimes in the early testings did exactly that. So those last little moves are done very, very quietly and very carefully to make sure we cause no damage. Okay, I have a slideshow, don't I, Mel? Can I have the clicker? Can we put the first slide up? Kush, there it is, Royal Caribbean Entertainment. And I'm Nick, by the way, I run it at Royal Caribbean. I'm the SVP of Entertainment. Great pleasure to be so. Best job I've ever had. Because this company loves innovation, and I'm going to tell you about some of it now. Can I also come up a bit, Kush? If you come to the show tonight, you'll see us using all of these stages, and they rotate, and they go up, and they go down. They go up unless you ask them to go up. Then they stay down, I'm noticing. Okay, right, let's go to the next slide. Ladies and gentlemen, to create all of the content that there it is, you see? I promised you something, and I delivered. Thank you, Kush, lovely. We have a studio, so we, before COVID hit, of course we're now building back up, but we had 134 productions in total, of which 6 are Broadway shows, but we did Grease twice, so it's 7. We're very proud of that. We inadvertently became the biggest ice show producer in the world, simply by the fact that we kept building ice studios, and we needed to keep putting shows in those studios, and hey presto, we've now got I think 16 ice shows, and of course aqua shows, which we also love, and comedy shows, and musicians, 600 musicians. So we're by volume, very possibly the biggest entertainment operation on the planet actually, by sheer numbers. And you have to have a center of excellence to create this content, and we do it here. This is in North Miami. This is a purpose-built studio. It's enormous. It allows us to have up to 300 cast members at any one time. We have dormitories to keep them all safe and looked after and fed while we work on all the shows together. And it's really something quite beautiful. If you're ever nearby, give us a call, come and have a look around. We keep it simple, and there's a reason for that. All of this technology is wonderful, but the core of any live presentation is the talent. So while we love our gizmos, as you will see tonight, if you come to the shows, it's all about cast members. And the way we know that the cast members are learning the shows and delivering world-class talent is by keeping the studio spaces very simple. So we literally have enormous spaces, and we use duct tape to mark out the stages. That way, for many weeks, they get used to exactly what they have to do with no frills. They get to a very high level of standard, and then we put the costumes, give them the props and the technology, and then the show comes to life. So that's the sort of thing. There it is. That one there looks like I think it looks like an Oasis class, perhaps. As you can see, probably 2 shows were being rehearsed at one time in there. So one cast is using the white lines, and then maybe a few hours later, the second cast comes in and uses the red lines. Some numbers there, you can write them down or take a photo. 132,000 square feet, 14 dance studios, 15 vocal rehearsal studios. We have a recording studio. We do a lot of aerial work. We need an enormous height for that to happen. So we have aerial studios and conditioning studios. We have a finishing studio, which has about 300 seats. When a cast does months on end of rehearsals to themselves, they literally forget what an audience looks and feels like, and that can affect their timing. So right before we ship the casts out to the vessels, we bring their friends in, their contemporaries, their cohorts, their friends, and we do a show with an audience, and that way they can remember what it's like to receive wonderful applause. 1,500 artists come through that studio per year. So it's a big place. Oh, this is a bit of fun. I used to joke about being able to see the Royal Caribbean Entertainment Studios from space. I used to do a joke, the only two man-made objects you can see from space, the studio and the Great Wall of China. And then, believe it or not, we did a show on Symphony. Has anyone seen Flight on Symphony of the Seas? Yeah. Yeah, oh, I'm glad you love it. Me too. So we did a show totally dedicated to aviation, all of it. Aerospace, the history. We came up with we knew that we wanted to recreate the Wright brothers' first flight, where we actually fly a plane out over the audience. We also knew that nothing would follow that. So we came up with a very clever idea. We start in the future, we go to Mars, and we slowly work our way back in time through all of the significant moments of aviation history. And one of the things we do on our way back to that moment of the Wright brothers, we visit the International Space Station. I remember the meeting when I went to Christy Coachman, there she is. I said, Christy, I've had a great idea. She said, what? I said, I want to put the International Space Station in a musical. They thought I was nuts, but it ended up great. You've seen it, right? Yes, when that station comes out. Now, I wanted to get the details of the International Space Station perfect, so I hired an astronaut. His name is Clayton Anderson, and he was with us for about 6 months. He had lived on the space station himself for 3 months, and he gave us an opportunity to get the details just right. So when this enormous space station tracks on stage, it's mind-blowing. And he's become a friend. He's become a friend of Royal Caribbean, and he shows up occasionally and helps us tweak things. We've got other ideas we're using him for that I can say nothing about at this point. Anyway, I was talking to him. He heard the joke about the space station, and he said, listen, Nick, I have a friend on the International Space Station right now. The next time they fly over Florida, he's going to get his camera out, and we'll see if we can see it from space. So ladies and gentlemen, that photograph, and there it is, that arrow, that photograph was taken for me from the space station. Isn't it great to be me? Oh, it's so geeky nerdy. So yes, so literally one of the astronauts put the camera through the cupola module and took a photograph of our studio, and there it is in all its glory. Okay, I'm having fun with you. How many artists? Okay, quick question. How many artists? We have 134 shows, right? How many artists do we need to audition in an average year? And remember, I'm speaking pre-COVID, which we'll be back to next year. How many people do you think we need to look at? Okay, in the audition process with the desk, and the person comes in and they do their thing, and we, like Simon Cowell. How many people? Want to guess?
10,000.
How many?
10,000.
8,000. Oh, it's a lot of people. Anyone else want to guess? 20,000. It is, in fact, you're getting close. 27,000 every year. There are 27,000 people audition for us to get the level of talent we need to keep these 134 shows open. The retention is quite low, the actual number of people that make it through the process, and there's a reason for that. If we're auditioning for a Broadway show, they have to go through the entire trial of that process with Broadway producers, and even when they get the part, they have to go to the other end of the studio and audition for the other show, because our casts do 2 shows. So it's a very difficult process, and that's why they're so good. What else am I going to show you? There's a thing there. That's got all the numbers. I guess you could photograph it, or we could send it to you. I'm sure Celia could hand that to you. It's like an infographic. What's good there? 31 choreographers, 97 costumers, and they're good. Did you see my jacket yesterday? That was it, Miss B. And 7 ships with Broadway, 105,000. Oh yeah, that's the thing. Here's a little thing here. I remember when we were talking to Lord Webber about cats and about other things we're working on in the future. He was sort of testing the waters. How many people, how many audience members do you have each night? And of course, a Broadway theatre has about 800. And I remember I quickly added up all the venues, every single night. They're all active, and it ends up being 105,000. We entertain 105,000 people every night. So he was quite blown away by that. Ice shows. Is the next slide the video? It is. I don't want to press it yet then. So ladies and gentlemen, I talked about ice shows, and I knew at this point I'd start running out of things to say and need a glass of water. So we've made a video, and this sort of shows you a little bit about the ice shows we do. A few of the things that we've done that make them very special, apart from having champion performers, is we really leaned in on projecting on ice video. And that sounds easy, but it's really quite hard. And you see it sometimes on TV, but it's really being keyed in post to get the crispy image. For us to actually create an image that everyone can look at takes a lot of projection power. And we also pioneered our drone swarm over the ice. If you come to see the Effectors tonight, which is our new superhero show, you will see drones used in a special way. But we started it with ice. So I'm going to press the button and I think the video is going to play, right? Okay, here we go. You can probably drop the lights a bit. How about that? And I have a glass of water. My sneaky plan works. Okay, so the reason I'm showing you this is because for me, the ice shows are very important because that was the moment when I was having a little look around and deciding whether or not to move into the Royal Caribbean family, it was the ice shows that made me do it, because it's still to this day the thing. Even we've got the aqua shows and all this amazing stuff, but the fact that there was an actual ice rink on a cruise ship with champion ice skaters, you know, skating at 35 miles an hour and doing quad leaps, still quite stunning. And of course, Navigator is going into LA, into that market on the West Coast, and they're going to be seeing these ice shows. I remember my first experience was I was having a sneaky cruise on, I want to say, Independence, I think it was, and we were in the Mediterranean, and it was the height of summer, and I'd been in Rome for the day, looking at sweltering, and I remember they had timed an ice show to take place as we all came back from the tour. So I had been roasting all day in the Mediterranean in the summer, which is hot, and then like 30 minutes later, there were chips of ice hitting me in the face as these people skated past me. I thought it was amazing. And also, of course, the drones. Drones plus ice is great. What's next? I'm just going to press the button, and I'm going to gamble. What is it? Wonder. Okay, Wonder of the Seas. There will be an ice show on Wonder of the Seas, and I'm going to reveal to you the name now, as a little sort of gift for coming in on this wonderful afternoon. The ice show on Wonder of the Seas is 365, the Seasons on Ice. This is going to be beautiful. We're always looking for themes that will costume beautifully, something that we can lean into with our video. And I thought to myself, in fact, Christian and I, we wrote this show in the back of a, should I tell them? It's so unglamorous, you know. A lot of our shows are written by sitting around with a blank piece of paper. Well, we were in the back of a cab in New York. We said, why don't we do a show about the seasons? So this is what it's going to be. And as you can see, it's a lovely logo. We take great pride in our logos in Royal Caribbean Entertainment. Oftentimes we design the logo before the show because it gives us the color palette, it gives us the vibe, it gives us some control, allows us to keep the scope sensible. And so that's one of the little tricks we use. But as you can see, on the left, and that beautiful logo going across the seasons, I think it's going to be a beautiful ice show. The aqua show on Wonder of the Seas. I'm going to reveal this one too. Drum roll, please. You're as crazy as I am. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Wonder of the Seas. So there are different ways of doing shows. You can have a beautiful story and really commit. We have a beautiful show on symphony called Hero. which is this wonderful show of 3 tribes of people represented by red costumes, or white costumes, and black costumes. And they start the show very distinctly ordered and at war. And slowly but surely, as they go through the show, and of course we're doing high lines and diving and synchro swimming, but slowly but surely, the keen-eyed audience members realize that the cast members are actually swapping bits of costume. And slowly but surely, these very delineated sections, these factions, start to meld, which of course is what happens in society over time. And by the end of the show, all 3 tribes are completely combined, and they come out in their final costume, and the costumes are equal parts red, white, and black. And it's a beautiful message. There are other shows we do where we just show off, and we call those kind of demonstration shows. The show on Wonder of the Seas, we are going to push every limit further. We're going to dive higher, we're going to dive faster, we're going to dive deeper. We're going to use slack lines from a higher height. We're going to do so much amazing stuff. And we decided to quite simply call the show, and come up with a pretty clever title, and here it is. It's going to be called Intense, emphasis on the 10. So, when you are using, you're performing to an audience that's from all over the world, you need to find common language, and generally speaking, most kids in school and so on and so forth, we look at 10 as the maximum. So we thought that's a clever play on words. The show will be called Intense, and we're going to use a lot of digital and 10, and kind of leaning into the concept of, what's the movie franchise with the cars, and they've done about 40 of them. How many? What is it? Fast and the Furious, exactly. So that's what we're going for, maximum performance. Now, ladies and gentlemen, another little reveal for you. We want the most warrior-like, toughest, bravest cast we've ever assembled. And we started looking at our casts on video. We started going on the ships and looking at performances, and it turns out, ladies and gentlemen, that the bravest, strongest, most intense performers in the Aqua Theatre are all the girls. So we're going to do our first ever all-female intense aqua show, and I believe, is there another one? Yes. Look, these are the ladies that we have cast for the show, and they're all women. And they're scary, and they're brave, and they're amazing. Give them a round of applause. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps. And they're very proud. They're very proud to be part of this. So it's going to be something really special, and something I'm very proud of. Father of a daughter, so this is really something fantastic. Looking forward to it. Intense, maximum performance. What's the next slide? I'm going to have a look. What is it? Oh, Odyssey. Ladies and gentlemen, I should have gone to the rehearsal, as you can tell. Odyssey of the Seas. You are here. We actually have attempted to put all 8 days of entertainment into the 2 days you're here. So up to you if you can keep up with it. You can see everything. Last night, did you see the showgirl last night? Past, present, future. Beautiful. The book. Fantastic idea. The library is over here, and the chief character is the librarian, and he's got one amazing skill. And it's a great skill. Think about it. He takes his favorite chapters out of his favorite books, puts them in one volume, and that's the book he reads to you. And it allows us to have 7 chapters that are all completely different, and we really push the limits. Odyssey of the Seas, that's the book, that's the one. 7 chapters, 1 adventure. And that's a really good hint at the scenery and the set design. And then, of course, tonight, it's the effectors. We are now in the superhero business, and we decided to create our own, and we came up with a clever little mechanism to propel them forward, and that is that if you talk to kids today, and young people, and even us, what do we all want to do? We want to create content, right? On social media, the YouTubers, the influencers, it's all about creating content, songs, poetry. Those are the cool kids now. So we came up with the idea of superheroes. You can't see the word, can you? It's just slightly off. But they all have powers of creativity, and I'll tell you what it is. Pixel, she controls all things video, reverb, sound. Loom controls lights and lasers, and then the leader of the group, Captain Viz, he has the power of special effects, and we've copywritten it because it's actually quite a cool idea. So hopefully we can lean into this IP moving forward. In fact, at the end of the show tonight, I'm giving you a little sneaky reveal. If you look at the character, as one of them exits at the end, it will make sense when you see it, she actually rolls out a little piece of paper that says, "To be continued." So that's going to be fun. What's the next one? Innovation. Okay, we're nearly there. I'm done, and then we'll do some questions. I want to show you, you saw at the top of the show, Dance in a Box. That was the first thing we ever did with the robot screens. Richard Fain loved it. He was always very, very, very supportive of the technology we're delivering. And he said, do something for me, Nick. Can you take it to the next level? Is there an idea that is similar to what you've done, but even more advanced? So we actually have won an award for this. Well, not one. We were in the final, but we were beaten out by some technology designed for the Mandalorian. I mean, I'll lose to them. But when you consider we're a cruise line and we're mixing it up with the top productions in LA, and we were nominated for an innovation award, it's something pretty impressive. I'm going to get out of the way. There's a 4-minute video that shows you what we did, and then I'm going to show it to you. But it is pushing the limits of all things physical and video in a single 3-dimensional space. Enjoy it. Here we go. Are you going to play? Do I press the button or do I just walk off now? Okay, Kush, play the video. I'll be back in a sec.
What's exciting is making the impossible possible, making the audience feel that what they're seeing is impossible. We are at the precipice of a completely new form of cinematography. People liken Royal Caribbean to being the Las Vegas of the oceans. We now have 50 venues on 26 ships, 134 productions, 1,500 cast members, 600 musicians. The crown jewel in the entertainment package is, of course, the RoboScreen installation. 6 robots, 6 axes each, 36 axes with 6 massive video screens. We had to go to the best people in the world to help us execute video on it, and there was no question that it was mobile. We use a lot of technology, we use a lot of interactivity, and we mix a lot of the physical world with the digital world. We create new types of entertainment to bring people together fully. We, over the years, have created 12 vignettes, but only one of them was live action, and that's the famous Dance in a Box. We came up with the idea of putting a dancer in a green box and rotating it, and then recreating those movements on the robo screens. Ocean Eyes is the second in the Dance in a Box series. Nick and Julian came up with this idea of doing this in water tank. Imagine water tanks rotating on it. Okay, I'm your man. It's very technically complex, very technically difficult, very dangerous. People have built water tanks before. I'm pretty sure it's the first time that someone builds a rotating tank. It's heavy engineering, not only to be able to rotate this thing with the weight of the water and the pressure, but also to come up with security features for the performers to be safe, because this thing gets sealed. They're basically trapped in there.
We've got 4x4x7. Which is quite small for a synchronized swimmer. We're used to having a lot of space. We're used to being able to move back and forth.
It is a dance show, but there are levels of symbolism. Oceanite is the story of a pearl diver who dives into the ocean to find treasures. She comes across a group of water nymphs. It's a fairy tale. It's a fantasy, and it's an adventure. The perspective shifts and the illusion of depth are key principles in Oceanite. Ryan Marshall, who did all the pre-visualization, calculating the camera movement to achieve the movement that will create the perspective that we need.
There's a limitation of these physical screens driving a limited movement of another physical thing, and it's the toughest challenge to find where those two worlds intersect.
We're actually synchronizing the rotation of the tank with the movement of the physical screens, the movement of the cameras with the movements of the screens as well.
There were a few little technical hiccups. We have a computer-controlled camera. Would it hit someone in the head? Yes. The first time we rotated the tank, would it leak? Yes.
This is still a stunt, and the worst thing that you can do is start overlooking stuff. There's over 250 lighting cues in the show. 35 seconds without air, without breathing, basically working in line with it.
It's very disorienting, so if you're at all claustrophobic, it's a little scary.
The idea behind the ending of the show is to drain the water out of the tank, and Miho, one of our performers, injured herself. The suction of the water was stronger than what she was prepared for, so she ended up being pulled at the bottom of the tank very fast. It was very stressful. We had to stop everything to make sure that Miho was alright.
So we really didn't know if Miho would be able to get back on the set. Miho did come back the next day with a big smile, and she wanted to get back in the tank and finish filming her scenes. It was very inspiring. We decided on a new ending which would be symmetrical to the beginning. Everything was real, live on camera. We wanted to use real animals. Koi fish are colorful, tropical, and caimans, small crocodiles, and one baby alligator.
It's really impressive when you start seeing these tanks moving and you're like, wow, this is impossible, what's going on?
It's fantastic. It's really fun. I mean, we have a really great creative space to be working and to be growing.
I am a kid at heart. This is obviously playtime. Very happy, over the moon.
I think with this film, we achieved something that is both aesthetically and technically a prowess.
This really is a dynamic video live performance that I think will be awe-inspiring to people that see it.
I feel extremely lucky to bring back what's at the heart of Royal Caribbean, the ocean.
There is a tendency for us to slightly forget the ocean outside the window. This is a really good reminder of what we're doing and where we are. I think that's a good line to close out on. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show it to you now. Okay, hold your applause. I hope you applaud once you've seen it. That's the goal. So, super complicated. Just if you're looking for a sound bite or a mind bite, the thing that we're doing that's different at Royal Caribbean with cinematography is, for many years actually, movie directors have been manipulating cameras. And in fact, I think it was in the 30s or the 40s, but Fred Astaire famously danced on the ceiling in Royal Wedding. You may remember, he sort of walked on the wall and then he ended up on the ceiling, and that was done by manipulating the camera and manipulating the set. Also, Christopher Nolan does it a lot. Inception, that fantastic scene when the hotel corridor is rotating. But once again, it's the camera or it's the set, the artists. What we've done is go to the next level, which is manipulate camera, set, and then the system that delivers the content in three-dimensional space. The three things together is really quite impressive. So let's do it. So the first one was Dance in a Box, and then we came up with Ocean Eyes, which is a tank full of water, exactly scaled to the size of these screens, and then 6 again. I think 5 out of those 6 are in tents. Because they're that brave. We locked them up in a tank, they trusted us, and we did this with them. So here we go, this is Ocean Eyes, have a look.
Oceanides, ladies and gentlemen. Did you enjoy? It's pushing the limit. I will tell you this, I'm giving a lot of sneaky peeks today. I'm going to give you another one. I don't know if you noticed in that video, but I said the second in the installments, and that's because it was always intended to do 3, a triptych. One of the things, if you're keen and you're interested in physics, the thing that's common to them is what we're doing with physics as it applies to gravity. So, the first one, Dance in a Box, was a 1G gravitation field performance, people dancing in a box on Earth. Then, we cheated gravity out of the way by using neutral buoyancy, and the plan for the third, obviously we've got Ion coming back from COVID at the moment, but the plan is to create a 0G performance and using robotics, bring it to an audience in a way that no one has ever done before. And with people like Jeff and Elon and all of this and Shatner, it's all about space and it's all about that experience in 0G. We're hoping that using this very sophisticated robotic system, when you're sitting there for the first time ever, we really can deliver something that, because of the movement of the screens, and we're going to do it we're going to use the parabolic, they call it the vomit comet, but the parabolic diving aircraft that allows you to get about 35 to 40 seconds of 0G. We will capture content, we will do it over a period of 3 days with a lot of Dramamine, and once we've got that content, we will use the robotics to provide the audience with an experience that literally no one has ever had. Although I would say movies like Apollo 13 have done a great job, again, adding that layer of being able to move the delivery system should allow us to do something that's never been done before. And remember, we're a cruise line! So, I love the fact that we're pushing entertainment as hard as we are. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a few questions. I went long, and I hope I answered most of the questions that you might have, but more than happy to take a few if you'd like to ask anything, but then I want to shuffle you off to dinner because I do not want